Sleep. Right, let's get comfortable. How's life?
It's pretty good, mate. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, like I said to you just now, I've suddenly become very aware of how uncomfortable this sofa is. Are you feeling okay on this?
That's all right. I'll just cut the episode to like half an hour. When you see me like...
Yeah, spine can't quite handle, like, there's no easy way to sit on this where it's like where you look normal.
Yeah. This is going to be a moment of like, it's really sorry that happened to you, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, how was the episode? Yeah, my back is...
Yeah, it's great. Oh, right. So, well, thanks for coming on the show.
Dude, thanks for having me.
I should be saying thanks for having me. I tend to be getting into this habit at the moment where I'm like going to everybody else's place, filming a podcast, saying thanks and buggering off. So,
yeah, fair play.
Yeah, no, that's
Well, welcome to the cabin. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's so awesome in here. I love this. This is amazing. I would love to have a setup like this, and hopefully one day I will.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's good space.
Yes, but Matt Russell.
That is my legal name.
Digital designer,
yeah.
Musician, entrepreneur. What have I missed?
Probably sums it up.
Yeah.
Husband, father. That's probably quite important. If my wife watches this, she'll be like, "Why didn't you say that?"
So, so how long would you say you've been like a self-sufficient artist?
Wow. When you say self-sufficient, do you mean?
I guess meaning not needing another job, to other than what you're doing.
Your iPad's just did we worry about that?
Still going?
I think we're still going.
Cool.
Yeah, so I made the decision to go self-employed in 2018.
Yeah.
So basically what happened was I was working for a web development company as a designer, and I started getting session work in to play drums for various artists, which was really cool. But I found that I was working 9 to 5, and then I basically go straight from the office to rehearsal studio, learn a bunch of songs, and then get home real late. And then I'd go on tour or whatever. And after a while, it was getting to that point where I was like, I'm not sure this is really sustainable. I wonder if there's a way I can do this where I can rehearse during the day and kind of fit work around it and all that sort of thing. And so I started looking at the possibility of going self-employed. At the same time, my wife and I were in the process of buying our first house. So I was like, I need to time this well, because I'm like, I knew full well if I went self-employed, it'd be way harder to buy a house. So we managed to go through the process. We bought a house, and then literally the following week after we moved in, I was like, right, I'm going self-employed now. And
yeah,
in hindsight, like on paper, a bit of a risk, but it seemed to be the right timing. And so yeah, I jumped in feet first and set up a sort of design business and a music business. And as soon as I did that, I just started getting more and more opportunities for both.
Cool.
And yeah, sort of hit the ground running.
Nice.
Yeah,
amazing. I've been at like a little bit of a crossroads myself for a while now. And I guess I I kind of got those the cold feet about, you know, like your self-belief in what you're doing, and I tried to upskill in loads of things that I didn't really want to do, that I was seeing like the salary or like, you know, just the security of the job and that. And I've gone through so many things, you name it. Like, you know, data analyst, cybersecurity, you know, architectural engineering. Like, I thought I was going to go back to uni and do law.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, I realised that I was so unhappy as well because I took a massive break from music. And I realised, oh, this is actually like a part of me. This is actually like my like life force is what I describe it as, thanks to a friend of mine. And it's so true though. I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough money to do something that I'm not happy doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people might argue that and say, nah, don't be silly. Like, people might be on loads of money and they might be able to bear what they do, but I personally can't.
Yeah.
So after you're a bit of an inspiration to me, because I'm like, I now win, lose or draw, as it were. Like, I'm just doing what I love doing.
That's awesome.
And even though you're playing the long game and not seeing immediate return in certain ways, I'm like the happiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think when I first decided to jump into the freelance life or self-employed life, this is like the second time I've done it. So the first time I jumped in as a freelance designer, I was rubbish, man. Like I spent like pretty much all day just watching like Dave, and like just watching terrible comedy shows like during the day, and not really focusing on work or anything like that. I was really like undisciplined when it came to that, and consequently it didn't really go anywhere. So there was a degree of nerves that I'd kind of fall back into that way of operating. Like all of a sudden I've got this free time, like I'm my own boss, so I can choose how I spend that time. And so yeah, like I was nervous about that, but it was that wasn't really an issue in the end. I think what I did realize was, and the reason for doing it was to create more time and to really pursue the things I really enjoyed. So I love doing graphic design, and I'm now at a point where I only really take on the sort of work that I'm really interested in doing, and creating that space to really pursue music as well, and to sort of turn that into a career. Having the time to do that made a big difference, and really it was that kind of work life balance. Like one of the reasons I wanted to be able to like slot my rehearsal time during the day was so that I could be at home at night, and be with my family, and that was really important. And I think after a while, that's really why I do what I do, is to create that time and that space for family. And sometimes that can be hard because, if I'm on tour or whatever, then I'm away from the family. But then, the reality is those tours, it's not like every week. I might do like 2, maybe 3 tours a year,
right?
And then the rest of the time I'm around, and that's awesome.
Sure.
So yeah, I love it, and I've always had this idea in my head that work should be fun, should be something that you enjoy. It's something that you spend most of your life doing, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So why not try and do something you really enjoy as a career?
That's it.
And I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to do that. I find myself, like, if I'm complaining about something, I'm like, I always end it with, I have no real complaints, like I don't really know why I'm complaining about this particular thing, because actually I'm able to do what I really love doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perspective, isn't it? And it's so easy to forget.
For
certain things, and then you remind yourself. So yeah, no, that's really cool. So I want to talk about Ghost Club as well.
Yeah.
So Ghost Club, a company that you found, you were a co-founder?
Yeah, so Ghost Club sort of started. So Ghost Club was started by a friend of mine called Leo. So to backtrack a little bit, Leo and I actually had a clothing company together in the early 2000s, like back when independent clothing companies were few and far between. There weren't that many. Like these days, everyone has a clothing company, but back then it was not that common. And we had a clothing company, or he started a clothing company called Clothes for Heroes, and I had always wanted to get into that space, being a designer and being a fan of fashion, but in particular like the skate scene back then, in like the end of the 90s into the 2000s, like the punk rock skate scene, and all of the sort of creativity that came out of that. I always wanted to explore what independent clothing looked like in that space.
Yeah.
And I met Leo at this party, and we just got chatting about that sort of stuff, and I literally just chewed his ear off like all night. And then a few weeks later, his designer that he was working with moved on, and he just reached out and asked if I'd get involved. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to get involved. So I sort of put to bed everything I was working on, and started working with Leo on Closer Heroes, and that was amazing experience. We had like the opportunity to meet some amazing artists, met some of my favorite bands.
Cool.
And we got like our t-shirts worn by like loads of big bands and like appeared in magazines and like all this sort of stuff. And but we had no idea what we were doing really. And when there was a situation where we connected with Paramore, and we got Hayley Williams wore one of our t-shirts on stage, and they actually signed a t-shirt for us, which was really cool. And so we were like, oh, this is really cool. We've got some amazing like press exposure here. And I had some friends that went to see Paramore playing, and Hayley came out wearing one of our t-shirts, and they were messaging me, and I was like, this is wild, like it's really cool. So we're like getting ready to sell 1 million t-shirts at this point, because we think, you know, Paramore have worn our stuff, this is a big deal. And then we one of our suppliers that would sort us out with the blanks and everything, they went bust. And we were like, well, what do we do? Like we had no idea what to do. And it kind of just slowly died. Leo then got a job working for a record company, and I had like joined this band, just got signed, so we were like getting busy doing other things. And so the clothing company kind of just died this natural death. So we sort of like skyrocketed and then like crashed, like all in the same kind of year. But because of that, like I it sort of scratched an itch, but I was like hungry for more. Like I always wanted to do another clothing company. And I tried a few things after that, but nothing really landed. And then out of nowhere, I got a message again from Leo. I think it must have been like the beginning or middle of 2018, or end of 2018, 2019, something like that, saying, hey, I'm going to start a new clothing company. It's called Ghost Club. Do you want to like come and like consult on some stuff? I was like, yeah, I'd love to like see what you're doing. So had a look at what was happening, and he had some cool ideas, but it wasn't quite landing. So we worked on like some concepts and some ideas, and we got some test prints and all kinds of stuff. Like we really approached it in a far more professional way. And we came up with a collection, and then we just had a blast working on it together. And then Leo was like, hey man, do you want to come in and be a partner and like do this properly? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so back end of 2019, we're basically gearing up, ready to launch. And we had planned to go to Spain to do our photo shoot. We did a photo shoot and a video shoot in Spain in 2020. And so we get out there, and this is the beginning, like the early days of COVID, right? So we fly out there, and there's all these like messages going out about, you know, lockdowns and all this sort of stuff, but we didn't, like at this point we don't really know what's going on. So we're in Spain, and at this point Spain have already like introduced a curfew, so there's like no one around. And we're like, this is amazing, like we've got all of this beautiful landscape to shoot in, there's no people around. We've got this amazing photo of me like skateboarding down this highway in Spain, and we're like, this is sick. And then we all get a message on our phone telling us that all of our flights have been cancelled the next day. We're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? Like fully preparing to start a new life in Spain, you know, like this is a disaster. Anyway, we managed to like figure out how to get back to the UK. We wrapped up the shoot, and we flew back, and I think there was there's like 5 or 6 of us out on the shoot. So, and I think we ended up getting 5 different flights. Like it was mad. We got back, and I remember landing in Gatwick, and the pilot was like, thanks for flying, that's probably it for a while. And we're like, what is going on? And then literally the next day, like the UK went into the first lockdown, and I'm like freaking out, going, man, like we've just spent all this time and money like getting this clothing company ready to go. I was like, maybe we should just wait until this thing blows over, you know, I'm sure it won't be more than a couple of weeks, right? And little did I know. And Leo was like, I reckon we should just go for it, like let's just do it. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. So we did, we went and launched it, and turned out to be the best thing for us, because our target audience at that point was people with disposable income who were online, and that was like basically the entire world. And so we saw what I would say was quite quick success in terms of getting the brand out there, like selling a whole bunch of product. It was like a really wild like first 2 years of the company, getting it going. And it's been amazing since. We've definitely had our challenges and our struggles. The first 2 years were great. As soon as lockdown lifted, like so many things shifted. And there were a few other challenges that kind of hit us. And then last year, 2025, beginning of 2025, so we brought on a couple of other people into the company. So we brought in a guy called Higgy, who's a photographer, amazing photographer. And a guy called Aliso, who's an illustrator. At the beginning of 2025, I think it was, Leo and Aliso decided to step away from the company for various reasons. So then we were sort of, me and Higgy were trying to figure out, okay, so what does this look like going forward? So last year was pretty much kind of like, not really a soft reboot, but we were sort of just rethinking how we did things and how we were approaching things and trying to make it like financially healthy, and ultimately just making it, you know, fun. So we spent all of last year sort of rebuilding, and then this year we're sort of building on top of what we did last year. And it's been great. It's been really, really cool. We've just done a photo shoot and just released a new collection, and we're gearing up to do another collection soon. We've got a couple more things coming out this year. So
Wicked.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a labour of love for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think so.
So been going since 2019.
Officially launched in 2020, but really, we've been working on it since 2019.
Nice, man. Yeah, and it's like it's quality stuff.
Thank you.
Like I've seen Ed's, my brother, got some of the clothes because he's also helped with the.
We roped Ed in to do some modelling for our summer release last year. Which was cool. That massively went to his head. He now thinks he's a model.
It looked great.
He did a great job. He did a really good job. It's really cool. We shifted like how we operated as a company. Like when we first started, we had a few different manufacturers that would do everything for us. And then in the last sort of couple of years, we've shifted to doing as much of it in-house as possible. So I've got a workshop here where we print everything up ourselves. So everything is like designed and printed in the UK. And we try and customize as much as we can to just be unique and a bit different. Like it's an oversaturated world, and there's some amazing independent clothing companies out there. And I'm friends with a couple of these guys, and they do a phenomenal job. Like they don't need us to do the same as what they're doing. And so Higgy and I really want to just be a little bit different. So we do as much in-house as possible. Which makes a difference, I think.
What I like about it is that it's very, very clear what the brand is. It's really, really together, and I completely understand. It's not like trying to do too many things or anything like that. It's a very, very clear product. So
awesome.
It's really cool. But from an outsider's perspective,
that's great.
It looks so good.
Thanks, man.
And I've seen a couple of your things that I really want to get myself. The hats are sick.
Cool.
I really like the hats, and I think you've also got like a bomber bomber jacket as well.
We brought out the bomber jacket.
Oh, it's so cool. So I'm gonna get that as soon as I can.
It's one of my favorite products is the bomber.
It's so cool.
Cool. I'm glad you like that.
So how does this tie in to when you're doing your digital design, like graphic design stuff? Because I mean, there's a lot going on. So talk through how it ties in with that.
I mean, a big part of me wanting to do the whole clothing company thing is that the creative direction and the decisions are really, it's really just me and Higgy. Like we decide on what is cool, we decide on what looks good, and and then we put it out there. And then if one person buys it, I mean, it's incredible validation, because it's like, okay, cool, we were onto something, even if it's just one person.
For sure. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Over the last years, we've had customers like all over the world, which blows my mind to even say that. And I think graphic design with clients is great. There's some amazing like collaborative projects that I've worked on over the years, but ultimately there comes a point where I found it to be quite tiring to be pouring your heart and soul into something really creative for a client who, like, either they're not entirely sure what they want, or they have a different vision entirely, or there's things that don't align, or you end up working on something which ultimately gets rejected. And that's part and parcel of the work, and you have to build up a degree of resilience to work in that space.
Definitely, yeah.
And sometimes you just have to suck it up and do what the client wants, and that's fine. Just don't tell anyone I did it. And sometimes you work on projects and like the client like fully trusts you to do something, and you get to do something epic, and you're super proud of it, and that's really cool, and everyone wins. But those projects are they're like gold dust, really. And that's not to say that I hate everything that I'm doing. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
It's just there is something to be said about like the ownership of like the creative output and what it is that I want to achieve. So again, I guess it sort of scratches that itch a little bit. Like, I want to be really creative and put something out that I'm super proud of, and I get to do that with Ghost Club with like no restraint. And with client work, like the priority is the client being happy, and so like I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that the client is happy with what we do, even if I don't necessarily agree with it or like it.
Sure, yeah.
Like, at that point, my view and opinion doesn't matter,
Yeah. It's the nature of the beast. Really.
So it is a lot, but I think you got to sort of create time and space to do those things, because otherwise it drives you nuts. If you're constantly doing stuff if you're constantly in a world where you're doing something that you love, but you get this sense of rejection every time, and you don't have anything else to do in that space which kind of fulfills that need, I think that could be really problematic. Like I love having the creative freedom with Ghost Club, and being able to do some of the things that we've been able to do, and the opportunities are they're endless. There's no end to what we could do with that, and that's really exciting.
Nice.
And hopefully like every now and again you get a project which can be really inspiring for both you and the client, and that's really cool as well. So you can't discount that.
What you were saying about the mental resilience of having rejection. I was like doing some freelance work myself for a company called Songfinch.
Okay.
Have you heard of Songfinch?
I think so, but that might be because you've mentioned it to me before.
I don't know whether I did, to be honest, but you keep looking at the thing, I'm like, what is this?
I'm just checking myself out. Looking all right.
You look good, man. You look good.
Try not to put my hand over here, like just
the closer you bring it, the better.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I love that. No, Songfinch. As I say again, it's like you're in your own creative space. You have quite a lot of movement, but it's like for personalised songs.
Okay.
People go to you.
Okay.
It's a whole catalogue of artists. You're freelance on that database.
Okay, cool.
And then Songfinch like takes a cut of.
So they like submit a brief, and then you go
submit
and
a brief, exactly.
Do the thing.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah. And some of these things are so personalised that you feel quite a lot of pressure. You've then got 3 days to write it, record it, turn it around. And so you're kind of challenged with getting into that creative space because you don't have all the time in the world. And so like what you were saying about mental resilience anyway, was, I mean, because they come back to you and they'll say it doesn't meet this criteria, even though you met the criteria, but they want it in a certain way, or can you adjust this just then, and you're going back and you're amending it, and it's like, man. But with the validation side of it, I had some great triumphs, and it felt so good that people would actually like tip on top the actual client would tip on top because they were so happy with the song, and so it was very rewarding. But I'm not doing it currently, but
yeah, I think there's two types of clients, right? There's the kind of client that like trusts you fully to do what you do because you're the expert, right? And then you've got the client that likes the idea of the potential result that they've seen, but they don't really know what it is that they want.
Yeah, sure.
And so the person who comes to you and says, that they want whatever song, and they're like, fully trust you, like, this is the vibe I'm after, but fully trust you to be the creative person to do it. Like, how much freedom does that give you to then be like, okay, cool, like I can produce something really great, and they're gonna love it, and you deliver it and they do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got the person who gives you a brief, and in your head you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna create something and they're gonna love it. And then you come back to them and they're like, no, this isn't right. But you're looking at the brief going, well, I've done everything you've asked. Right. And then at that point it starts to reveal, okay, they don't actually know what they want. And
exactly.
And then trying to navigate that is part of the challenge.
Yeah. And the more specific they are, especially on like that songwriting brief as well, the more specific they are of what they want. I mean, you try rhyming and artistically putting in Island Girl of Guam. Like,
no way.
Was that a must? That was
really?
A must as well. Wow. So it's just like, yes. I'm trying to remember the lady's name now, but anyway, no offense, but it was.
How did that go? Was that a good one?
That was a good one. It was one of my best ones.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But it's just like I feel, you need a little bit of creative freedom.
Yeah, definitely.
And if it's too rigid, then it's challenging. But you learn all these different things as you're doing it, really.
Yeah.
But I guess the cool thing is just seeing someone living their life, being able to do what they love doing, and they're self-sufficient in it. I think that's such a cool thing, and I think a lot of people that I talk to are very scared of doing that, making that transition, sticking with the job security. But it's like, and like myself as well, it's just eating in all those hours of your life, and there's an element of fear as well. So, do you get like a lot of this mental? Do you have like these mental battles, or now that you're comfortable doing it, you don't? Yeah, it's just the norm.
Yeah, for sure. It's circumstantial for me.
Yeah.
So with freelance work, you never know how long a project might last, or if you're fortunate enough to have a retainer, like when that retainer could finish. So 1 month you could have mountains of work and it's great, and then the next month you could have nothing.
Right.
And so sometimes you end up living life month to month or week to week, depending on what's going on. And so I learned to have the multiple kind of income streams as quite useful security. Right. But I didn't have a retainer for the first until recently, really. I guess until like 2022, 2023, I didn't have any retainers. So I was literally going from project to project. And I built up some regular clients, which is really cool, but you can never rely on those clients. And there was a time a few years back where some regular project work I was doing was sort of drying up. And I had some gigs in. I had a few sessions come in and they clashed, and I had to make a decision on what gig I was going to take. And I opted to go for one of the gigs, which was lesser paid, but I thought it was going to be more fun. And it was around Christmas time, which is always like an intense time of year, like financially, right? So so I'm sort of thinking, okay, like I've got these gigs, I've got a little bit of work, like it's gonna be tight, but we can get through. And then those gigs got cancelled, and it was too late to go back on the other ones that I'd offered. So I lost out on some work there. And then something happened. I think I either missed the deadline for invoicing, or they were just late paying the invoice, so I didn't get paid for the other work until like well after Christmas. So so then there was this period of time where I was expecting money to come in, but it didn't. And then January rolled around and I got hit with like some really unexpected bills. I can't remember what they were exactly, but it was, our boiler broke down. And then there were some other bills, and then there was the tax bill as well. Oh, and I had a client site which I'd worked on last year, which got hit with a it's bizarre. Got hit with like a copyright claim to do with like a plugin or something that I'd used, which I thought I'd licensed, but I didn't. So they were basically getting a cease and desist on like not having a license for this site. So they're like emailing me going, what's going on here? Our web store's about to be taken down and all that sort of thing. So I had to go in and repair all of that and then basically cover all the costs. So I had like this huge pressure of all of these major outgoings and like nothing coming in, because I hadn't, like, my next load of gigs weren't until like March or something. And there was like no future work on the horizon, and I was like, I'm done for. Like literally at that point I was like, I'm gonna have to like get a full-time job or something like that.
Right.
So I was like stressing out about this, and so I just started applying for like as many different sort of design jobs as I could. And I was fully getting prepared to like shut everything down. I was like, maybe it's run its course, like, you know, maybe it's just time to call it a day on some of these things. Like, I gave it a good run or whatever.
Right.
And so I applied for loads of stuff, and I literally got nothing back. And then I finally got invited to an interview for a company. I'm not quite sure how to describe them. But it was an interesting, I think it was effectively for an influencer. And they had a product that they were promoting. So, and they were based down on the South Coast. So I was like, okay, like if I get this job, it could kind of work. Like we'd thought about moving at this point as well. So maybe if I get this job, like we'd move down to the South Coast or whatever. So I went along to the interview, and at this point, I hadn't been in a job interview in years, because I moved from like the web dev company, which was my mate's company, and so I didn't interview for that. They invited me to like jump in and do it. Before that, I had various other careers that had kind of naturally come to a close, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I got a temp job at Superdry over Christmas, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And my mate was like, hey, if you want to learn this, like come and join me at this web dev company. So I moved straight from that into self-employed, and then COVID happened, and then I'm sort of trying to bounce back, and then this situation's happened. So I haven't had a job interview for a really long time at this point.
Yeah, right.
So I'm suited up, I've done loads of practice, like I sorted out my portfolio.
Okay, that's good.
And the last job that I had as a designer was like when I was 18, and I was working for a printing company. So I hadn't really worked as a designer in any other like employed situation, you know.
Right.
So I rock up, and I'm like feeling good, I'm ready to go, and then this girl comes to greet me, and she's like wearing joggers and like a hoodie, and I was like, what, like what's happening here? I was fully expecting them to be like, you know, smart, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then they took me into this office, and the office was sick. Like it was amazing. They had this awesome like lounge with like a couple of fridges for the beer, and like a couple of PlayStations, and then they had like this podcasting suite, which was epic, and then this open floor with like multiple designers and videographers. And I was like, this place is amazing. So it was really cool, and I did the interview, and that was all really fun. And then they invited me for like a week work experience to see if like it's a good fit, which I thought was a really cool idea. And it was paid as well, so I was like, if nothing else, at least I'm getting a week's worth of paid work. So I went in, and as part of the invitation, they sort of shared the pay scale and all that sort of thing. And I was looking at it, and I was like, man, like this is tough. Like for me to make this work, like financially, like I need to be on the top of the pay scale. So I was sort of getting ready, and I was like, right, I'm gonna prove to them that I am worth like the top of the pay scale. Like my goal here is I'm gonna outperform all of their other designers, like anyone else who's creative on their team. Like I'm gonna outperform all of them. You know, I want them to see that like I am gonna be the best person they ever employed, kind of thing. That was sort of my mindset, my attitude.
Yeah, great attitude to have.
Yeah, it's well fun. So that's kind of how I approached it. And I worked my butt off. Like I was turning stuff around like super quick, and like when we had meetings and they were looking for ideas, I was like just throwing ideas at them. Some of the ideas were actually really cool, and I think they took some of them on board. And it was a really fun week. It was exhausting. I was like, I can't sustain working at this level like Monday to Friday. It would just kill me off.
Right.
So part of me was like, have I just given them a really unnatural like impression of what it is that I can do? Because I was like, I'm operating at like 1,000 miles per hour here, just like delivering stuff as quickly as possible, and killing myself in the process. So that was happening. Now, while that was going on, I also had a client who I've been working on a project for them for a while, and they called me up while I was away, and basically were like, hey, just to let you know, I'm actually leaving, but I've spoken to like the directors, and they have I basically put in a plan that says that they can give you a full-time job as a designer and all that sort of thing. You know, would that be something you're interested in? And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I was really open with them and said, look, this is the situation. I'm currently on like a work placement, trying to secure a job. Like, I don't know what's going on with work. But like, I'd love to meet with, you know, one of the directors. Yeah. So I was like, okay, but that's really interesting. And their office was based in Woking. So I was like, man, that's like a 20-minute commute rather than like close to an hour commute. So I was like, that's interesting. I'd really like to explore that.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, right, music has like pretty much gone quiet again. So I'm thinking maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just go back to music being a hobby or whatever. And again, like I think it was like the next day I'm at this office on my lunch break, and I get a call from Nick from Misery Kids. And he's like, mate, we've just got an invitation to go on tour with a band called Emarosa. And I was like, big fan of Emarosa growing up, and I was like, no, we didn't. Like that's ridiculous. He's like, nah, seriously, like UK and Europe tour. It's coming like I think it was in like June or something. Like we're doing it. He's like, are you free? And I was like, I'm cancelling everything.
Yes, yeah, that gets thrown across your desk. Yeah.
So
cool.
I'm like, man, this is wild. Like I've gone from like not having any real opportunities with both design or music, and then suddenly out of nowhere like these two opportunities were presented, and I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm working at this place, and we get to the end of the week, and this is where I find out, you know, if they want to keep me on, and I'm like, this decision here will sort of pave the way for whatever's next. And they sat me down and they were like, hey man, like we really loved having you here, we like all the team got on with you really well. And this is what we want to offer. And they offered me bottom of the pay scale. And I was like, okay, like that's hard for me to swallow. Feel like I'm worth more than that, but whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. And I was really open and honest with them and said, look, I've also been approached by another company, so I need to chat with them, and you know, I'll get back to them. So I sort of walked away from that going, maybe they've made the decision for me. Like I see what this other company has for me, but like it was tough, you know. It's tough to like work at that level for that week to then be offered something which I personally didn't feel was right. Like I don't know, maybe if you ask them, they'd probably say different. Maybe they were like, yeah, like he was just really loud and whatever, you know. But
we thought he was on drugs.
Yeah, he was just it was inhuman. So I walked away from that. Had this meeting with the director of this other company, and it was like such a different vibe, and they were basically like we'd do anything to have you, was the way they wanted to go.
Cool.
And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, look, I really appreciate the offer, but I like, would you be open to like a retainer contract? So you have me for like 2 or 3 days a week, and we agree a rate, and we go from there. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like whatever we can do, like we want to make that happen for you.
Nice.
So I was like, this is amazing, you know. So I turned down the other offer, accepted that offer, and then went on this crazy tour for like, I think it was 2 weeks, UK and Europe, and got back from that, and all of a sudden where I was at the beginning of the year, it's completely different like halfway through the year. In fact, that year went on to be one of the best years of my life in terms of like career opportunities, music opportunities, like growing the design business, growing the music business, all those sorts of things. Started off like horrifically and ended like I can't imagine, like I can't like comprehend like how incredible it was, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, like all that to say, like those kinds of thought processes and those fears, like they definitely come into play because it's everything's so unpredictable. Like I had no idea that was going to happen. But I think the thing that kind of got me through all that, like a big part of that was like my faith and like how that intertwines in everything that I do and kind of gives me that sort of sense of peace when navigating it. And that's not to say that I don't have like freakouts and stuff. Like I was my wife, she's like, yeah man, you were stressed. Like I was stressed for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, there was like the faith element of my life was the thing that really carried me through all of that, and I think helped me make the right decisions to get to where I am now. So yeah, it was a mad year, absolutely mad year.
Wow, man. It's funny because you came back to the fears thing. I was so engrossed in your story. I completely forgot that was the question. I asked. I was like, wow, that is full on. That is full on. But also what I take away from that as well is that a lot of the doors that opened are from sort of seeds that have been planted here, there and everywhere, and you just never know what's gonna happen. I know it sounds really cliche, we all kind of know this, but you really never know what door is going to open because you've been nice to this person or you've worked with that person. So it's amazing.
Relationships are key. Absolutely. Like if I went into a bank to try and get a business loan and they were like, what's your business model based on? I'm like, it's based on relationship. They're gonna be like, get out, because like we can't invest in that. But the truth is, like everything that I've done over the last few years has stemmed from those relationships that I've built up with people. You know, like you and your brother Ed, like I've known you guys for years through a youth venue that we used to hang out in, right?
Plantation, right?
And then fast forward, and like me and Ed are playing together with multiple different artists, and you know, doing the wedding scene and all that sort of stuff, and you know, we're here sitting talking about life and all kinds of cool things. You know, it's wild. Like
it is actually
like if you think back to those days and someone said, hey, like one day in 2026 you two are going to sit down, you're going to have a conversation about life, we'd be like, what's a podcast? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. And I never really thought that I was going to do this, but again, like what you were saying earlier, there's different outlets that scratch different itches for me, and this is something that I don't get from doing the music, but I feel is important, as we were experiencing earlier. Like it's early days and like still getting a feel for it, but it's I think it's so just get such invaluable information from people's experiences and just talking about life, that although people might, I don't know, there might be a thing that people think, oh, you're just sitting there having conversations, kind of a lazy job, right? Because like you just want to sit chill and not do very much. But man, honestly, I'm learning so much from people, and why not film it and let other people see that?
Absolutely.
But what was the thing I was gonna ask you about as well? So with your digital design and graphic design, I was going to ask you about the dreaded two letters, AI.
All right. It's like, which two letters are you referring to?
So I was just going to ask you about what your take is on using AI tools. Whether you know.
I was very anti AI when it first came on the scene. I think there's a lot of fear wrapped up in the unknown, right? So
definitely,
you know, when it's first introduced and people are like, it's gonna steal all our jobs, like we didn't really know what AI really was at that point. And I think over time I've sort of begun to get a handle on it and understand it a little bit more. and I have been able to utilize it in a way which has actually been really helpful. So there are things that both AI and myself can do, but AI can do it so much quicker. So
Right.
that has been a really useful tool, where I've been able to do jobs, and like working on something that could take me a couple of hours, I've been able to do it in like a couple of seconds.
Sure.
You know, and that has been incredibly valuable. And also, I mean, even yesterday I was working on something and I was like, oh, I wonder if AI can do this quicker, and it couldn't do it at all. Had no idea what it was, what I needed it to do, and so I ended up just doing it the old-fashioned way. And I was like, I ain't taking my job, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, sure.
obviously it's developing all the time, and maybe I'll be eating my words, but
I don't know. Like you say, I think it's there's some using it as a tool. I think an analogy was that I heard recently was so true. It's like, you know, you're now with certain tasks, you're like trying to hammer in a nail with your hand.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
AI is like the hammer
yeah.
to just like get that job done and assist.
Yeah,
But
that's a great analogy.
yeah, it's so true, and like what you were saying about it speeding up and better efficiency of time.
Yeah,
But it's not taking away from the need for you to actually do the job, right?
yeah. I think my issue comes from the ethical standpoint, and I think this leans more into the music side of things, especially when it devalues the art form when someone has basically produced something using just AI, and there's nothing else to it. They put in some prompts and it's generated a song.
The prompt and pray method, as they call it.
Right. Yeah. And so when that goes out into the world and that gets more interest and traction than someone who has spent like time, like years learning a craft, and then
Sure.
you know, when you're writing a song, it's like you're taking a piece of your heart and you're putting it on a piece of paper. You know, it's like this really, like you were saying earlier, like these deeply personal things that you get to communicate. And when all that gets overshadowed by like a prompt, which ultimately is taking its ideas from other artists anyway, like I think that's a real shame. You know, I think that's really sad when that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't like that at all. But and we've talked about this before, when it comes to music, like really and truthfully, musicians have been using AI in music, in its technology for years. When we talk about things like Melodyne and like auto-tune and stuff like that, or like quantizing, like there's a degree of AI which is being able to generate that information and do those tasks, right?
Sure.
And that's great. Like those are really awesome tools that have been really, really useful. And I think the way we should be approaching it is like it's that next level of like how can we use AI as an effective tool to take our songwriting to the next level, or our production to the next level, or whatever it might be. I think treating it as a friend rather than a foe is probably a good way to go.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with it. I might change my mind in a few months, but that's where I'm sitting right now. You know.
Again, the context of which you're using it is important. I mean, Jack, who I'm in Lost Waves with, we have tried out all these different tools that are available. So we're talking music now. So I'm glad you brought up the music side of it, because that's mainly where I'm interacting with it.
Sure.
And I just find it, you know, your perspective on it, people might say that, you know, it's taking away from the art form in this way. And yes, I would agree if you're doing what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of people now using these things. They're not really musicians. They're prompting, praying, coming out with these songs. To them, they're not, you know, they're not used to certain things that we're used to as musicians. So it's like, to them, it sounds unbelievable, right? And also because it has this mastering side to it, this mixing. And but what I would say is, Jack made a really good point when he was saying, with the things that we're using it for, it's just like that writer in the room that that we have next to us that is like, it's just like another person throwing out an idea, and it might come up with certain like textures and samples that is no different than going on Logic stock samples and just using a thing from that. So I think knowing how, if you're using AI for instance to do something that is taking the place of you being creative, then I don't really understand the point, because it's like with certain things, say accounting, great, automate everything, amazing. Not so good for the accounting, but like, I know what you're saying, but you know what I mean? It's like to speed up their workflow, amazing. But like, if someone had to say like, oh, I can just write the songs for you and can just do this for you, it's like, yeah, but I didn't set out to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I do it for a reason.
I think another thing that's always going to be true, hopefully always going to be true, is that it will never be able to replace the live experience of music.
No.
And I actually think it's probably it could do the live scene a lot of good, because people will get so conditioned to this AI experience of music when they go to a live show, no matter how big or small, like it's an exceptional experience that they get to have, because suddenly they're interacting with this human that is communicating something beautiful that like they wouldn't have experienced from AI. You know? And I think the difference between, you know, that is night and day. So my hope is that like it will do a lot of good for the live scene, and people want to go to shows more because they crave that human connection, you know.
Definitely. I mean, I see a lot of people that they're promoting their music, they use a lot of processing and like insane amounts of AI, and I kind of think to myself, wow, are they going to shoot themselves in the foot? Because when it comes to the live gig, it's going to be a bit of a disappointment, because they've actually got to deliver a level of performance and skill that you've spent years and years, like, you know, perfecting. And so who knows?
I think I've seen it a little bit. I did a couple of shows and a tour over the last few years where typically live drums in that scene is quite unusual. And I remember one gig, it became quite clear we needed to really win over the crowd, because they're like, what, this isn't normal, you know, like we're not sure, like they were ready to rule us out, you know. And I remember Ed was on this show as well, and I remember saying, Ed, I'm like, man, we've got a lot to prove, like let's go and just like absolutely slay it. And we did, like we went over and above, like on the performance side of things. And man, the crowd loved it. And we won them over, which was amazing. But I think there's a degree of hope there. I mean, like I said, I could be eating my words, but
I don't think so. I mean, you saw Justin Bieber on Coachella, right?
No.
Yeah, right. It's like I think it was to do with the rights to his music, because he sold all his masters, right?
Okay.
And so his loophole was for the songs that he wasn't allowed to perform, it was just like on a laptop on YouTube.
Really?
Big screen, he's just on the computer.
That's amazing.
And everyone's just absolutely loving it. I mean, okay, it's Justin Bieber, but
that's wild.
At the end of the day, he did it really well. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
But
props to Bieber.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nah, man, honestly, look, this has been awesome. Really enjoyed this.
Yeah, man.
If you want to do this again,
I'd love to.
I'd be well up for it. There's loads more to unpack, and like, I want to delve into some more things. But mate, honestly, it's been amazing. Thanks so much for having me in this space.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Awesome, man. I'll see you again soon.
Yes.